and we're going to talk about Richarlison. We had a bit of a ding-dong on the WhatsApp last night, didn't we, Amir, about Richarlison? Danny weren't happy with all the Richarlison praise that was coming.
It was going off. It was like it stopped for a little bit. The flames went down for a few hours, and then it all went off again.
This topic was made because we thought Danny was going to be on the show, but unfortunately we don't have Danny on the show, but I'm sure we can talk a lot about it.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have Danny on another day, and we're going to have it out with him, but we're going to start 100%. We're going to start off with you, Kate. You know, Richarlison been on unbelievable form since he's had that surgery. He did come out the team, and it was kind of Spurs' best team display probably since he has been out. Do you feel like with Richarlison back fit now, he comes straight back in for the Villa game?
I'm assuming Danny Kiriakou isn't a Richarlison fan. Is that right?
You could, that's to put it lightly.
Well, I'm on the same boat as Danny Kiriakou because I'm not a Richarlison fan either. I think for me, I would love to sell him in the summer, get Saudi to give us some money back and get rid of him. He's just not got it for me. I appreciate everyone keeps telling me that he scored these many goals in these many games, and that's great. But for me, form is temporary, class is permanent, and he hasn't got the class for me. You've only got to watch him at Everton and Watford. He's never delivered more than 13 goals. I think it is his best tally. Just not good enough for me at all to be in this team. And I know I get so much abuse for it because my husband, for one, is a massive Richarlison fan. And yes, he does work his socks off. And yes, he does try hard. And yes, he has got the heart of a lion. But I want my striker to score goals. And for me, he doesn't do that enough. So does he walk back in? Not for me. He doesn't. I don't rate him enough. I'm sorry. I'm going to be an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But I just don't rate him.
Okay, you say you want your striker to score more goals. I mean, he's only 3 goals behind Sonny in less minutes.
Yes, I know, but he misses far more than he scores for me. He has so many chances and he fluffs them. I find him incredibly frustrating to watch. And yes, he is a confidence player, and that's why I think he's had that run of goal scoring. But if he goes 2-3 games without a goal, we're going to have another drought probably for another 10 games. I don't know. It just doesn't cut the mustard for me. For me, he's perfect for a team like Everton, but not for a team like Spurs.
So what do you put his good form down to?
Confidence. I do think he is a confidence player. So he's scored and his spirits get lifted, and the team, and people are all, he's doing his silly pigeon dance all over the pitch, and he's getting smacked.
You gotta love the pigeon.
I don't even like it.
He's got it in for pigeons too, as well as Danny.
I don't. You know what? That was my nickname at school as well, because people.
We need to call the RSPCA, man. All these people hate pigeons.
For me, pigeons are rats with wings. So Richarlison for me, being called the pigeon, I've got high standards for my football club, and Harry Kane was a generational talent, and you cannot replace him. I appreciate that, but the step down from Harry Kane to Richarlison for me is too great.
Do you think the problem that Richarlison has, Amir, is Harry Kane? Because Harry Kane obviously set the bar so high that you're never going to get another Harry Kane. And Richarlison, if you're going to compare Richarlison to Harry Kane, he's always going to come out, on the bottom.
That's exactly where I was going with this. I think, any striker coming into those boots, you just can't do it. It's impossible. Harry Kane is a once-in-a-generation player. You can't do that. Let's just try and play a little situation here, right? If we were in the days of where we had, say, Soldado up top and Richie came in those times and done what he did now, I think everyone would be singing a little bit of a different tune. I do hear some of Kate's frustrations, and I get where people are coming from on a certain level with certain aspects of his play that he needs to work on, i.e. first touch, that needs improving, and the pace of which he moves the ball. But in terms of goals, in terms of a striker, I think he's got all the attributes to really kick on. What I saw up at Goodison Park when we went up there, Ben, was 2 goals of the top draw. Really, really good finishes. And I think part of the reason he hasn't scored as many as he's scored is the lack of service. If you had a player like, just you know, for example, a KDB feeding a Haaland, right? I think Richie will get 10 more goals than he's got at the moment. In many of the games that he hasn't scored, I think he becomes a little bit of a scapegoat. You know, oh, Richie hasn't scored. Oh, he wasn't good. Oh, he misplaced a pass. You know, every player misplaces a pass in the game. Yeah, it happens. And with the misses, Kate, you know, Bournemouth, shocking miss. A few of the other ones, I can remember a few headers that he's missed, shocking misses.
I think there was a couple at Luton as well, weren't there?
Luton, oh yeah, there was Luton as well. There are some bad ones, but if you look at all the top strikers going out throughout the history, all the best attacking players, they will have a few howlers in there. The sign of a top player is the one that can get rid of that miss in his mind straight away, 2 seconds, and the next one that comes 5 minutes later, he buries. And that's what Kane was brilliant at. And I'm hoping that Richie can develop that, you know, and be a little bit more clinical. I can see that he's got all the attributes to get there in terms of, like, you know, your hard work, your passion for the club, your passion for the game. He's got all that. So in terms of those attributes, I think he only needs to work on a few aspects of his game and learn the system a little bit more. And once Ange Ball is really purring, there's no reason he can't get 20 odd goals a season, if not more. So yeah, I truly believe that. And I just hope he gets the chance to show what he can do a little bit more than what he's got, because, you know, he's had his problems, right? His injuries, his mental health. He's had his problems.
Yeah, he has had his problems, and I think since he's put those to bed, I think he's been a completely different player. You've seen the movement on the pitch is a lot more free. I like what he's bringing to the team. He's scoring consistent goals now since that surgery. You know, we were talking about Danny about, he only scores against the terrible teams in the league. I mean, if you're saying that, then basically the only teams that you're going to consider any good is Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. And he did score against Liverpool last season. He scored against Manchester United. He scored against Newcastle 2 goals this season. So I mean, he scored in Europe last season. So I think Richarlison needs to be getting more credit, to be honest, than what he's getting. And look, if you're going to compare it to Harry Kane, if you're going to compare it to Heung-min Son, then obviously he's not going to cut it. But not every player that we can have is going to be as good as Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. These two are world-class talents at the end of the day. And I think Richarlison is doing his job for the team. I wouldn't sell him in the summer, in my opinion. But having said that, I wouldn't put him back into the team for the Aston Villa game, to be honest, because I think that Heung-min Son is going to be so vital in that Villa game with their high line. We need Sonny central in that pitch to get those balls over the top to him, and maybe Maddison to feed him through the central areas of the pitch. But that doesn't mean that I don't like Richarlison, and that doesn't mean that there aren't games that are going to be more suited to Richarlison playing as the number 9 than Heung-min Son. I think that's what the beauty of having 2 different kind of strikers are in the number 9 position for rotation. Sonny, the problem that we have, Sonny is our best left winger and he's our best striker. That's just the nature of who he is and the quality of the man. But I don't like all the shade that gets thrown on Richarlison on a consistent basis, because yes, he does miss chances, and yes, when he's bad, he is bloody bad. He really is, and he frustrates the life out of probably every Spurs fan when he's bad. But I do think he's got attributes that suit this team really well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, although what I would say is, to be fair to Kate and Richarlison haters, since he signed for Tottenham, how long has he been at Tottenham now? It's coming up on 20 months, right? Yeah,
this is the last quarter of his second season.
Right. So, and we've seen 1-2 months of good form out of those 20 months. So that is a fair point. And when we're looking at last season, I don't think we were criticising him, just comparing him to Kane and Son. We were criticising him because he was absolutely rubbish. And that was true. And also the first 3 games of this season, first quarter of this season, I think it's fair to say, up until December.
Till we have the surgery, which he clearly needed.
Probably till the Sheffield United game, I would say. He was absolutely rubbish. And then that Sheffield United game happened, he got the goal, and then he went into some good form and he started playing well again. So, I think it's been more bad than good at Tottenham so far, although that seems to be changing. But
there have been circumstances behind the bad form, though.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances around everything. I mean, I don't know how long he's been carrying that injury for. I don't know how long he's had those mental health problems.
Sonny wasn't exactly great last season as well.
No, he wasn't great last season. He still got 10 Premier League goals. Richarlison got 1. So I think these are all things to consider. But what I would say is right now, he's in a really rich vein of form. You got to remember as well, not only is he in good form, but he really stepped up when we needed him. Like without Son in the team, who's going to get the goals? And he really stepped up in that time of need and got us the goals we needed to just keep us getting over the line with a lot of results. And he's actually improved his finishing massively. His finishing's been, I think he's now outperforming his expected goals, which is really, really impressive. I think he's 10 goals and 3 assists now this season, which is, with the amount of minutes he's played, is really, really impressive. And as Amir's saying, those 2 finishes at Everton are really showing that he's starting to really improve that ability to finish. And as well, he has this tendency of scoring goals with just one touch, which is a really rare skill, which is especially when you're playing against low blocks, is really important because you're not going to get a lot of time in the penalty box. And if you can just finish it with one touch, one finish, that's a really important skill. But when the problem is when we're comparing him to Kane, it's not just Kane anymore. You're comparing him to Son, and Son doesn't miss. Son has missed 3 chances this season, 3 big chances. And considering the amount of goals he scored, which is 13, the fact that he's only missed 3 chances on top of that means that literally he's had 16 chances and scored 13 of them, which is ridiculous to think about. That's how clinical Sonny is. And
which
then
you call a freak of nature.
Yeah, and when you're comparing that to Richarlison, he's just nowhere near that as clinical as Sonny. And so that is the reality of when we're deciding who should be playing in the forward line, who should be starting in that number 9. For me, I think Son's our best striker. I think Son's best position is a striker at the moment. I was really impressed with Sonny on the weekend as well. I thought his all-round game was really good. He was setting up chances for his teammates and he got his goal as well, which was really, really impressive. I think his all-round game is just so much better than Richarlison when we're talking about fluid football, when he picks up the ball and does little layoffs and when he's has to run at the defence, and when he has a lot of time to finish, like he did on the weekend, he always finishes it, unlike Richarlison, who it seems as though when he has too much time to think about a finish, more often than not, he'll screw it up. So I think Son needs to start on the weekend, even if Richarlison is fit. I think he has to be our number 9 when fit. If Werner's going to carry on playing like he is, I'll keep it like that and use Richarlison as a superstar. But even though Richarlison has been playing really well and has been scoring lots of goals, I just think we look our best when Son's in that number 9. And I think Son's at his best when he's in that number 9. So if we're going to have our front 3 playing like they were on the weekend, I would keep it like that for now. But I'm so happy Richarlison has found his form, and I do think he's always had this in him, because I really liked him at Everton. I really wanted him to come to Spurs, and I think this kind of striker who is always in the right place at the right time, scoring those poachers' efforts, has their uses, has their values, and I think Richarlison definitely has his, but I do think Son is the better striker.
Do you feel that no matter who we're playing against, Son should be playing number 9?
Do I think no matter what? Do I think no matter what? As long as Son's in form, yeah, I do. I think even against low blocks, I think Son, even though Richarlison's got more of that physical threat, I do think Son's all-round game can make up for it. And I saw Son on the weekend, even against a low block against Palace, was setting up chances inside the box. And that's something that Richarlison struggles to do. Richarlison, though, is going to be a player probably more likely to get on the end of the cross, more likely to be in the right position to maybe score a goal. But with all things being equal, everyone being fully fit and all that, I would still pick Son.
Kate, after hearing all that, any credit going Richarlison's way?
No, I was going to say what Sim said exactly. I think if it's an instinctive shot, Richarlison normally scores, but the minute he has to think about it, he misses. For me, Tottenham fans, I don't like to say, not all Tottenham fans, but a lot of Tottenham fans are quite happy to accept an average player, and that is what I consider Richarlison to be. I don't think he walks into any top 10 team in the league. I just don't think he does. And so for me, that's why I don't think he's good enough. I think he's great with his heart. I do think he's got the heart of a lion. I love how he pumps up the team. And some games, I can't believe where he is. He's all over the pitch, defending, winning the ball back. And for that, he's brilliant. But as a striker, for me, he's just not good enough. Sorry.
If he got 20 goals, Kate, would that change your mind this season? If he got
20 goals this season, I would be in the summer saying, no, I don't think we should sell him. We should keep hold of him.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's really.
I mean, the last game you get 10 goals in the next 12 games.
What about 15? What about 15?
No. But if he gets 15, I've got to give my husband a fiver because we had a bet.
But you know what it is? I think we know that Son is the best striker at the club. We know that, right? So for me, in the window, in the summer coming up, we need to focus on those wingers. So I don't think that Richarlison needs to be sold, because when you're looking at Son being the first choice number 9, for someone like Richarlison to come in as and when coming off the bench that's capable of getting 10 to 15 goals a season, surely that's a massive value for the team.
Yeah, I get that. I can see that. And his aerial threat, obviously, is different to Sonny's. I mean, my view is I would rather upgrade Richarlison, but if we can't and we are going to keep him, then we need to upgrade the wingers, exactly what you said, because the wingers don't provide enough service, in my opinion. So it's got to be one or the other for me. But, you know, it's just a dream to sort of find another striker that's sort of near a Son's ability, but the striker market at the minute, everybody needs one, and there's just not that many out there that are any good. So
it's a tough market. It's a very tough market.
Yeah.
So. Okay, if you only had budget to sign one player for over 50 million, you had to choose between a striker and a winger. What are you choosing?
A winger, I think. I am choosing a winger. Yeah,
me
we
as
need
well.
a really good winger.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree. But I think me, Sim, and Kate are both in agreement that Sonny starts in the number 9 this weekend. Amir, where do you sit with it?
Yeah. I don't think there's a question. You go with what's winning and what's working, and Sonny up top's looking great. Richie's obviously coming back from an injury. You stick with what you're doing at the moment. Stick Sonny up top, and you build off the confidence that we gained from beating Palace. And you know, honestly, if you go back to that Villa game, although they nicked the 3 points, right, we could have been 2 or 3, 4 up in that first 20 minutes at that game. So I'm really looking for us to come out the blocks fast. With all due respect to them, they're a great side. I'm not gonna, minimize the threat that they hold with the players that they have, but I do think that we shouldn't, we shouldn't pay them too much attention. Focus on our game, go at them. Don't worry too much about what they're doing. And I think we're coming home with 3 points from Villa Park. So
come on, Amir, I love that confidence.
Come on.